Today we're tackling the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate Exam, SAA-C03, 65 questions, 130 minutes, 720 to pass. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, the best place to start is, well, a massive challenge for any growing company, which is identity.
Right. Say a company wants to centralize employee logins across multiple AWS accounts, and they want to use their existing corporate credentials to do it.
Okay, pretty standard requirement. What are our options?
We've got IAM groups, AWS IAM Identity Center, IAM Instance Profiles, and AWS Resource Access Manager.
Yeah.
If you're building this, I mean, IAM groups seems like the obvious choice
You'd think so, yeah?
because identity and access management, IAM, is literally the service for grouping users, right?
See, that is the exact trap AWS sets for you. The cognitive bias here is just relying on standard IAM familiarity, which is brilliant for a single account.
But not for multiple accounts.
Right. The moment you scale to multiple accounts, managing separate IAM groups becomes like a total nightmare of duplicated effort. So standard IAM is like a bouncer checking IDs at one specific club door.
Spot on. The correct answer here is AWS IAM Identity Center. It uses federated access, acting like a universal VIP pass for the entire franchise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it connects your existing corporate directory directly to AWS, and we can definitely eliminate IAM instance profiles.
Because those are for virtual machines, right?
Exactly. They give temporary permissions to virtual machines, not actual human beings.
Got it. Speaking of access, what happens when you hand out too many keys?
Oh, a classic problem. Let's hear it.
So a developer gets administrator access to a production S3 bucket, simple storage service, just to do a one-time quick fix. What rule does this break?
Okay, what are the choices?
We've got security through obscurity, separation of duties, performance efficiency, and the principle of least privilege. No, wait, I'd honestly argue for separation of duties here.
Why is that?
Well, you really shouldn't have developers touching production data. It's tempting to think that, but you're actually thinking of fraud prevention. Separation of duties requires multiple people to complete one workflow, like needing 2 keys to launch a missile.
Oh, I see.
This scenario actually breaks the principle of least privilege. It's tempting to grant full access just for speed, but in the real world, it's like giving someone the master key to a skyscraper just to fix one leaky faucet on the 3rd floor.
Wow. Yeah, administrator access means they could accidentally delete the entire bucket.
Exactly. You only ever grant the exact permissions needed for the task, nothing more.
That makes sense. You want to limit the blast radius logically, but you also need to protect against physical disasters.
Right. Infrastructure matters.
So say you're looking at a topology in the US East 1 region. It shows physical separation. Data center facility A is running an EC2 virtual server and a primary RDS relational database, specifically a db.t3.medium.
Okay, got a primary database there.
And then, entirely separate, data center facility B is running a standby RDS instance. The options for how this is distributed are single subnet, edge locations, AWS local zones, or availability zones.
Which way are you leaning on this one?
Well, edge locations sound right if you're, trying to separate things to make access incredibly fast for end users.
Fast, yes, but edge locations are purely for caching content, like images or videos, closer to users. They do not host core infrastructure like RDS databases.
Ah, okay. So what is it then?
The answer is availability zones. When AWS shows physically separated data centers within one region, they're talking about AZs.
So in real-world terms, it's like having your primary server on one municipal power grid and your backup wired to a completely different grid miles away.
Exactly. If a flood hits facility A, facility B takes over seamlessly, and, we eliminate a single subnet immediately.
Because it's a single point of failure track.
Yep. A subnet is tied to one availability zone. Putting everything in one subnet is just asking for a massive outage.
Gotcha. So you physically spread out your infrastructure. But how do you control what services your entire organization spins up?
That is the big governance question.
Right. Imagine a configuration panel for a policy called non-approved services. It explicitly denies everything across member accounts except S3, IAM, and CloudWatch.
Very restrictive.
Options are network ACLs, resource-based policies, IAM trust policies, or service control policies. I mean, IAM trust policies feel right because we're dealing with permissions across different accounts.
I get why you'd think that. Trust policies dictate who can assume a role, but they don't set absolute boundaries on what those roles can actually do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you're managing an entire organization, you need service control policies or SCPs.
Why wouldn't standard IAM policies be enough?
Because SCPs act as account-wide guardrails that even root users cannot bypass. Unlike standard IAM, they're like an overarching force field at the organizational unit level.
Wow, okay. AWS sets those overarching guardrails,
Right.
but who is responsible for the actual virtual machines?
Ugh, the shared responsibility model. Let's see the question.
Deploying an EC2 instance, what falls strictly on the customer's plate? Options: physical security, disposal of decommissioned hardware, managing the hypervisor, or patching the guest OS. I mean, I love the idea of driving to an AWS data center to personally smash my old hard drives.
Yeah, good luck getting past the armed guards for that.
Fair point.
The physical hardware, the hard drive disposal, and the hypervisor. That is all managed by AWS under the infrastructure as a service model. The correct answer is patching the guest OS.
So it's basically our problem once the OS is running.
Exactly. AWS builds a highly secure apartment building, like the hypervisor and physical hardware, but if you rent a virtual server, install Windows or Linux, and leave a vulnerability unpatched, that's leaving your virtual window wide open, and that's entirely on you.
All right, that wraps up our exam questions. Let's step back and look at the big picture.
Yeah, when you review these scenarios, a few massive themes emerge. First, you need to deeply understand AWS federated access and identity services to manage users at scale.
Right, because standard IAM isn't enough.
Exactly. You also have to internalize AWS security best practices, like never handing out excessive permissions. And we saw the importance of physical layouts when studying AWS global infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. Those availability zones are crucial.
Beyond that, the exam heavily tests access controls and management across multiple accounts. Finally, every architect must know the exact boundaries defined by the AWS shared responsibility model.
As you prep for the SAA-C03, ask yourself, how much operational control are you truly willing to trade for the convenience of the cloud?